gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
All right, drama. That's what we have filled with the Australian Ice Hockey League once again as we exited week 17 of the competition. The top six is still getting shuffled around. There's only one position in the top six that's settled, and that's the Melbourne Ice. The rest of it is a bit of a shuffling of the chairs every single weekend. And then we've seen a Perth Thunder team that was docked 3 points, which I'm guessing a lot of people have got some opinions about. And some comments about in regards to that decision. Welcome into the Morning Hockey Shot. I am Andrew McDougall. It is August 16th edition. We've got a big show today, and it is the final show for the regular season as next weekend I'll be travelling across to Perth for the final round of the weekend for the Melbourne Mustangs and the Perth Thunder, the doubleheader home games over there. So I'll be heading across to Perth for the very first time, actually, getting over to Perth to check out their arena and their rink over there and have a look and check out what the Perth Thunder do. So we are live on Facebook and YouTube. I don't think Instagram wants to work for me today, which is a bit of a shame, but we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So apologies if you're on Instagram. I won't be able to see your comments and read them out on the show. I'm not sure what's happening there, but you can find my stuff at andrewkmacdougall.com.au and across the socials at Andrew K. McDougall on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Give it a like and a subscribe and do what you got to do to help the algorithm and help me grow and help this platform grow as well. And also on my website, you can buy me a coffee to help support what I do as well. There's a little section there and a little pop-up if you want to donate a little bit of coin to help me push through this, all the work that I do here to produce this sort of stuff. It is a labor of love. We do have a comment in the chat already. Sean O'Connor, it's such a good day. It's hockey day and Doogie is live. Welcome to the show, Sean. Glad to have you on live. Sean was on last week, which was an awesome show. It is hockey day, absolutely. I will get into the menu for today. And as I announced earlier this week, Stephen White, the play-by-play commentator for Melbourne Mustangs, does a mountain of work with all the comms for the league as well, will be joining me very shortly. The top six race, AIS Arena, Thunder 3 points. We'll have a chat about that. We might have a chat about that with Stephen as well. And AIHL coaches. So the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League starting very soon. It's inching closer. I wouldn't say it's starting soon, but it's inching closer and closer. They'll start tryouts and training soon. And there was a few coaching announcements I wanted to touch on. And of course, standings, schedule, and pick of the week. I'll do my pick of the week that I do every single week on the show. Sean's in the comments as well. Love the Inferno beanie. I like this beanie, Sean. Cool logo for the Inferno. I did get some comments about this beanie last time I had it on, so I thought I might chuck it on for the final show. But that is the menu for today. So the top six race, it's really interesting coming out of week 17, and obviously the Thunder were deducted the 3 points, so that really shakes up the top six as well. And the Thunder now slipped down to fourth position on 40 points. The Adelaide Adrenaline, and it's like we say this every single week, it's like Groundhog Day when we talk about the Adelaide Adrenaline. They needed to pick up as many wins as possible, really. They needed to go into Newcastle and the Central Coast and get back-to-back wins. The game against Newcastle was such a good game to watch, and they really had themselves in the box seat, Adelaide, to pick up that win. They couldn't get it done, unfortunately, for the Adrenaline. They went to the Central Coast and they picked up a win to keep their top six aspirations alive. They still are. It is still flickering there, the flame for the Adelaide Adrenaline to get into that sixth and final spot. I don't think they will catch the Mustangs. And Stephen White might have a comment on the Mustangs in that top six spot, even though technically there is still a chance for the Adelaide Adrenaline to jump over the Mustangs if everything went correct. But that top six, so the Adelaide Adrenaline is still hanging around. And the whole thing with the Thunder, and it really shakes it up a bit now because they sit 6 points back of the Brave in that second position. I feel like the Thunder, though, they're still in a good position to claim that second spot. I feel like they got a good run home, I think, the Thunder. They do play Adelaide this weekend, and they obviously got the Mustangs on home ice for the final round, which puts them in a really good position to try and claim back that second position, which a lot of teams, I know we've had this conversation before. I think it was with Sean about whether or not you wanted to finish second or you wanted to finish outside that second spot. If you wanted to play on the Friday or you wanted to come in fresh on the Saturday, some teams might see a little bit differently, but I believe the Thunder, they want to finish as high as possible as they can. And obviously the North Stars are sitting in third and they're still scratching around for that second spot as well. So you never know what could happen. But that top six is really, really just every single weekend. It's just moving and shaking and teams are just shifting positions. And obviously, yeah, the Adelaide Adrenaline are still hanging around. Got Eric Brook in the comments as well this morning. The Perth Roadie is an awesome one with the possible exception of a return red-eye flight. You can tell the people who haven't done it before because they think they'll go to work okay on Monday from the airport. I fly in on, I actually fly back on the Monday. So I'm staying there. I'm flying up Saturday, staying until the Monday. And I've got the Monday off work, Eric, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'll fly back into Tullamarine on the Monday. So I'm looking forward to that road trip. It should be really cool. Catch up with a lot of friends over there as well and check out that arena. And I'm not sure yet. I know Sean asked a couple of weekends ago if I was doing a vlog from Perth. I'm not too sure yet what I'm going to do when I'm over there. I've got some ideas. So potentially, I might do a vlog of what's happening over there. We'll see. Corey Katine, all the way over from Minnesota. Morning, guys. Morning, Corey, or evening over there for you. Glad you can join us. As I did mention off the top, though, so that's a top six. I just wanted to touch on the top six quickly before we bring our guest on. But there's plenty of moves and different teams going up and down that top six. It's crazy, but I think it's great for the league that we have this sort of competitiveness in the top six right up until the end, second last weekend of the regular season. But I will bring him in now. Stephen White, the play-by-play commentator for the Melbourne Mustangs, part of the ATC Productions. Stephen White, welcome to the Morning Hockey Shot.
Thanks, man.
Hang on. There we go.
There you go. I'm not pretty used to being muted. Used to being muted by James Morgan, so it's all good.
Welcome to the show, mate. It's good to have you on. Just talking about that top six, and obviously you're sitting in the background having to listen to me ramble about it. It must be really cool, and I touched on this with Peter Lambert as well when I had Peter on. It must be really cool as a commentator too, especially with the Mustangs in their position in the top six and where they've played, how they've played so far this season. Just to have competitive games, being able to commentate games that aren't dead rubbers and actually have a lot of meaning in terms of the regular season in that top six.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, there's been a couple of ones where it's just like, that North Stars, the Lightning game the other week where it was the Lightning jumped out in front, 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, and then it just went the pear-shaped the other way. Even though, right at the end, Sasha Rapchuk, they want to hit that last goal, that one-timer he scored. I was like, wow, I didn't give it the reaction it deserved because it was really, really good. But, they were, 4 goals down or 5 goals down by that stage. But, yeah, look, plenty of movement, obviously, plenty of drama. I mean, that's what you want in the league, right? It's an entertainment league. So with only 3 games to go for the Mustangs, it's becoming every point's important in terms of the finals race. And they've got obviously Canberra tonight, which is no mean feat. They're coming in hot at the right time. And then they've got the Thunder next weekend, which is on the Perth Roadie, which is just going to be tough, particularly in terms of the context of the final 6. Well, truly the final 5, right? Take the ice out. It's who's going for that second spot. And at the moment, it's Canberra, North Stars, and the Thunder in the race. And then Mustangs, for mine, I'm not trying to throw the team under the bus. They've had a season they really would have forget. It's just been so inconsistent. I mean, they had that one win in July, and that I think, really took the sails out of their campaign so far. I mean, if they can take 3 points from the Brave, or at least 2 if it goes to overtime, and then go into that Perth Roadie next weekend, they're looking good to come in for the finals.
Yeah, they've gone. I went back through, and since the start of July, they've gone on 5-11, the Mustangs. So that form is really probably, I suppose, not where they want it in terms of that the Mustangs wanting to win the Goodall Cup and heading into finals. That form's really dipped off. And I looked at that game against Adelaide where Brody Lindor scored with 10 seconds to go. That's probably the biggest win of the season for the Mustangs, isn't it? Do you sort of feel that as well? They really needed to win that one. And Brody Lindor, who's been outstanding, especially since Scott Timmins hasn't played for a long time, obviously with the injury, really stepped up for the Mustangs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tim has been out since I think 4th of July, so that's a long absence for them. And yeah, you're quite correct. Like Brody and Dean Clomp, Renaissance man, he's had a really good season. It's his 3rd year, but I think he got 31 points last year. He's on 29 now. He's going to eclipse that in the next 3 weeks, I would assume. But he and Brody, and of course Mr. Dunkley, who I keep called him Ryan a couple. Called him the wrong name a couple of times. He's a guy I trained jiu-jitsu with. He's called Nathan Dunkley, and it's just it's just a cluster, really. But no, those three, in the absence of Timmins, who's really the linchpin, right? I mean, he doesn't just score; he sets so much stuff up. Those guys have shouldered the burden quite well. And then I've been really impressed this year with the youngsters, man. Like particularly, I'm gonna have a special shout out Artem Astafiev, like Max's brother. Not trying to start sibling rivalry here. Out of all the rookies, I think he's been like the silent assassin in terms of the ones I've been impressed with, because we're seeing the new generation of Mustangs start to come into the lineup. Keenan Nelson, Jet Porter, Rowan Barrett, and of course Tom Pappas. His debut was fantastic. Comes in when Kimmer and Woodlanders are injured, and Brian was carrying an injury. Comes into a game and wins 4-3 on debut as a 16-year-old. Like that's that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of positive stuff I'm looking at. But the Adelaide game, they needed that because Adelaide owned that weekend. Like they were, particularly the Saturday game, they're all over them, and then on the Sunday game, they're all over them again, and then dagger through the heart in the last 10 seconds. So pivotal 3 points to try and start their climb back into finals contention. Whether that's going to be enough, we shall see.
I got a comment in the chat here from Sean O'Connor. Mad respect for Stephen. So you got a bit of love in the comments there, Stephen, from Sean O'Connor.
Cheers, Sean. Do a great job there, mate. Pity I couldn't get up to AIS last weekend. So
the Bears players at Mustangs have been really producing from George Blake. You're just talking about the young players as well, and it's something that I touched, and I've spoken about Artem on this program because I'm a massive fan of Artem. I think really, really good player for a long time, I think. And you're talking about the young players that, such as Rowan Barrett or Tom Pappas. I felt like watching the Mustangs this season, and it might not be by design, it might just be by circumstance, especially when we're seeing, say, Seb Woodlands as well, who hasn't sort of played a lot and is trying to get the body right, things like that. Do you feel like it's a transition season for the Mustangs? That's what I've felt when I've sort of watched this season, and just because of seeing a lot of those young guys get opportunities.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, obviously they win the Cup in 2023 last season, didn't make the finals, left it literally to the death and missed out, I think, was it 3-4 points? It's not trying to say Cup hangover, but there is that sort of generational change happening there now. I mean, a lot of the older guys are on the way out, and then some of the younger, they're starting to blood some of the young guys now, like Flats and Johnny Moe are trying to push those young guys, and Steve Bellick trying to push them into the lineup, which is great because you've got to give them experience, right? So, I mean, Sean Jones is approaching nearly 350 games. I think he's played 339 or something like that. So he's still there. He's had a good season. I mean, even at his age and experience, he's chipped in like when it's needed. I think it was 2 weeks ago he scored 1 or 2, which got them back in the game. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to the next gen of Mustangs because there's sort of that Mighty Ducks generation, the 90s. The McDowell, Bellicks, all those guys. They're all starting to move on now. So, and I think Sean's probably one of the last ones remaining, but. There's a transition phase now to Gen Z, I guess, hockey and Gen Alpha hockey. Well, that's a bit a bit of ways down the track, but that's good to see them and encouraging too that they're getting that the coaching staff are showing confidence in them and putting them on the ice, because this is where you sort of learn the ropes and you get that first welcome to the AIHL hit out of the way, and then you start learning the ropes and all the rest of it. So. I'm really impressed with those kids, and I hope to see them get some more time as the season winds up.
Yeah, totally agree. George Blake in the comments as well. Brody is the best. He hurt his finger against Adelaide and still came out for a picture. He promised. I felt so bad wanting to recover and not take a picture with me. It's really cool how much the players give up their time, and especially the Mustangs. They do a really good job post game, getting I suppose, with the fans down near that far side, near the tunnel, signatures and photos and things like that. There's a question here from Sean as well. I'm not sure if you know this, Stephen. League-wide, when was the last game we had an OT result? I feel like we have had heaps first half of the season, none for the second half. I'm trying to think as well. I can't remember the last time we've had a game go to OT as well.
Well, no, Mustangs haven't had one for a while. I don't think we've only had that one, like 2 at the start of the season. I think when Mac Roy scored 2 of those overtime goals. off the top of my head. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Sean. We haven't had one for a while. I don't think. Someone in the chat will probably correct me on that. That's cool. But no, a lot of it's been. Look, I'm going to say, like, I'm not a fan of the huge blowout score lines. That's a terrible. I hate it. Like 11-2, 13-1. You know, that's just 8-4. I think 7 is the upper limit for goals in a game, right? To look at it respectable. But look, scorers league, I guess. But look, the games. Look, that game last week, Rhinos and Brave. Like, I was actually, because I was going to show that as the game of the week, the free one, and I was thinking, oh, Rhinos might get pasted here. It's no disrespect, they might get lit up here, and then they nearly beat the Brave at home. And I was like, oh, I should have shown that one, but oh well. I am liking the other games that have been like close. It's sort of like a dichotomy, right? You've got these total blowouts, and then you've got these really close games. There's nothing much in between, from my perspective, anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Scott Timmins, obviously, you mentioned hasn't played for a long time. And it's one of those questions where I think about, and we spoke about it last week with Sean, and I asked Chris Langille, and I had him on the show as well in regards to the Perth Thunder. Can the Melbourne, because when I think about the Perth in Thunder, I think about Yu Hikosaka and how massive Yu Hikosaka is for the Thunder in terms of scoring. Can the Mustangs go and win the cup from their position without Scott Timmins?
Be a great storyline. Look, they've now signed Trevor Lord, obviously. So that was announced yesterday. He was part of that USA-Canada tour. There's a number of players. Nico Hemming, I think, also for the Lightning. He played last week against the Ice. I'm fairly certain of the Ice House. So they brought him in for the last 3 games. Not eligible for finals. So fans out there asking questions. Post June 30, you can still make additions to your roster if there's an injury or a guy has to, someone of your imports has to go home for whatever reason. They're 99% of the time they're not eligible for finals. They can make a case for dispensation, which is rare, but I don't think they're going to approve a guy that's going to play 3 games for finals. So that's why he's been brought in, right? So I'd love to see that happen. If that happens, it's going to be in the 25th anniversary year. Great script, right? I look at the 6 teams that are basically in the mix for the finals. There's 6 different storylines, right? Ice is, we dominated everyone all season. David Booth comes in and cleans out everyone and scores the goal of the season. And, they skate away with the cup on home ice. Brave go back-to-back. North Stars, record 8th Goodall Cup. Thunder, first Goodall Cup. Lightning, first Goodall Cup. Mustangs come out of the, redemption after being in the doldrums, and then they win it without arguably up until David Booth arrived, had the best importer the AIHL's ever seen, Scott Timmins. So, 6 great storylines, and I'm looking forward to one of them being told. I mean, and also obviously the adrenaline's still in the mix by the skin of their teeth, and that would be the ultimate, right? They managed to somehow make the finals and then win it. That'd be, a great story. But look, it's 2 weeks to go now, so the finals planning is doing my head in. But so I'm looking forward to actually the finals starting on the 29th.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too with this league. On any given day, anyone can beat anyone at their best. I feel like that across most of the teams, and we did see it with the Rhinos even last weekend, just pushing both teams. Even though the Rhinos are sitting at the foot of the standings. Eric Brooks in the comments as well. Last OT, Thunder 5-4 OT Lightning in Perth, Sunday 29th of June. Eric Brook with the stats, coming up with the stats this morning. So there you go. That's the last time we had an OT game.
7 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's quite interesting that it was 7 weeks ago, considering how high scoring this league is most of the time. That was the last OT we had. You are the media marketing and communications manager for the league as well. From a league perspective, how much growth have you seen this season through the league and what you do as well? Because it just feels like there is a little bit of a spike, I suppose, in online especially. We see a bit more, and obviously the David Booth goal sort of went viral across the world once sort of Bar Down and Daily Face Off, etc., picked it up, places like that. How much growth have you seen from the league itself?
Yeah, well, look, I just handle the media kind of things. I prefer the term bullet sponge because I just get all the complaints. But no, look, it's been pretty wild this year. I've someone who operates on a smaller oily rag as a media manager second. I think I've done a pretty good job in terms of getting more exposure. Obviously, Jimmy Bartell's come off. 3AW have been great. There's a lead into the Winter Olympics next year, which we're going to do some more stuff with. People might have seen a camera crew going around the Ice House and AIS last weekend from the ABC. We have a documentary being produced about the AIHL at the moment, which should air mid-September. Can't talk too much about that, but that's something as I commissioned the other week, and I was pretty stoked that they were going to do that. So, and then we've got something else coming out in October, November, which I can't talk about either, but that'll be pretty cool as well. But yeah, look, I think this year I've tried to take it next level. There's more stuff that I wanted to do, just time, money, and calories that I couldn't do. Yeah, the David Booth thing just exploded, obviously, and we've got a lot of media inquiries about that. AIHF have written about us, about our 25th anniversary year. I've had another number of other stuff that we've wanted to do, but we just don't have the time for. But look, I think like guys like yourself and Oz Hockey Media and all our independent creators done fantastic work. Couldn't do it without you guys. And look, I'm not trying to blow the own trumpet here. The media side of things gets better every year. I know that sometimes, some of the content, I like to do more with the website and revamp that and put some more content on that. Again, it's a manpower and money fix that I don't have at the moment. But I think we do pretty well with what we have. I mean, like the player safety stuff is regular now, and then there's updates on things that are regular now. And in the past, prior to my regime, you wouldn't get those kinds of comms, right? And you'd have radio silence, and that's one thing I've tried to change. It's trying to have more, because it was just something would happen on the ice or something would happen, and the league wouldn't say anything, and you'd be like, well, what's going on, right? So you got to at least say something, even if it's nothing, right? So I know there's been some comments about, there's been some obtuse media relations, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we can't say stuff about certain things, particularly, what's happening with the Canberra case at the moment. So, which is before the courts. You can't talk about a pending legal matter unless you want to prejudice the decision and throw yourself under the bus, right? But that's the way it is. I think we've done really well this year in terms of the media. Got some ideas for next year. The finals, we've got some things planned. Hopefully those come to fruition. But no, I think there's a big announcement about finals actually coming next week. So I think some people know what it is, but you keep your eyes peeled on socials. Should be about Tuesday and Wednesday. But no, look, I think we've done well on the media side of things. There's other things in the league which probably need more attention than the media side, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think you do a great job, mate, considering, I suppose, what you have on your plate and how much you can do. I think you do a great job. And when you're talking about the website, we also get weekly recaps from Hayden Farquhar. I think Farquhar is how you pronounce the name as well. So we're getting that on a regular basis as well, which is really, really cool. One of the big talking points, obviously, during the week was the Perth Thunder getting docked to 3 points. And I'm not sure how many people are in the comments have got a comment about that. Just reading from the statement from the league, I felt like the statement was, I think coming from the statement, I feel like the process needs to be really looked at, and I suppose in a more professional sense, in terms of the Thunder, I suppose, getting notified, and then it's sort of getting retracted and things like that. I'm not sure how much you can talk about the process or what's happened with the Thunder and the 3 points. I just felt like it sort of wasn't a really good look for the league, the way that the announcement came out and the process and getting to that point with the Thunder and the league.
Look, 100% agreement, mate. Look, caveat number one, I don't have anything to do with any of that process. I'm just the guy that writes the release and I said takes the bullets. So I wasn't involved in the appeals tribunal, the sanctions, or anything else. Number two, I'm not going to defend a decision I ultimately disagree with. I thought it was a terrible decision. If you cast your mind, just to give people a bit of context, cast your minds back to that happened in the first week of the season. We didn't have an operations manager after Ben Armstrong resigned. So his role basically got divvied up between a number of us, and I wasn't doing anything on the player side. But, you're doing your normal role, your AIHL role, and then you're doing 30% of someone else's role. Inevitably, you're getting pulled in multiple directions. There's going to be oversights, right? I've read the full decision. I would have just preferred to publish the full decision. It was much easier for me, and people can see what happened. But they get advice. He's okay to play, registered to play. Steps on the ice, then someone else at the league goes, "Oh, hold on, no, he's not." He calls Coxie. Coxie pulls him straight off the ice. They did the right thing. But we still have to issue the sanction if there's a registered player on the ice. That's just part of the process. But on appeal, that should have just been squashed. If that was me, I would have just looked at it and said, "Well, look, first week of the season." He didn't have any impact on the game. And look, okay, it's a warning this time. Next time, if you do it again, if you did that in week 15 of the season or the week before the finals, okay, you're going to take a 3 points, right? Like that's just going to be. And Perth got docked 3 points last year, and so did the Bears for a similar thing. But I think I've just probably upset a whole bunch of North Stars fans going, well, "Where's our 3 points?" But I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd concur. I didn't like writing that release at all. I was like, mate, let's just tell the fans what's happened and just own it and move on. That's what's got to happen, I think. I know there's some other stuff that, as I said, was with the Canberra stuff. You can't. That's before a court. That's a different scenario. But I think the appeals tribunal got that really wrong. Thunder have been hard done by, and look. Hopefully that lights a bee under their bonnet this weekend against Adelaide, and then the Mustangs next weekend, right? And can't make it any easier. But that's my 2 cents on the matter. I think there's got to be. I've tried in my tenure to try and be more transparent. Try to bring some. That's one of the major criticisms of the league. I sometimes just keep running into roadblocks, and it's really frustrating. So, if you want to take a couple more shots at me, that's fine. But I'll step out of the way and let the bullets go that way. So, because it's not me doing any of the lifting. But look, I would have liked to have seen that process handled a lot better.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally understand that a lot of people sort of feel like there's not a lot of transparency there, and I get approached and I get asked a lot of things and get told a lot of things as well, which I don't even air as well. But I just felt like the whole process could have been handled and dealt with a lot better in terms of what I suppose we got as a statement and a release from the league. Just shifting back to the Mustangs, we got a comment here from Lisa. I'll just chuck up on there. The statement was not professional and really didn't show conviction in the decision. It wouldn't be the Thunder way unless it's the hard way.
Yep, agreed. No disagreement from me.
Yeah, totally agree, Lisa. Absolutely. And if it's going to be someone doing it the hard way, it will be the Thunder, I believe. Just before I let you go, just shifting back to the Mustangs, obviously they've got a big game today against the Canberra Brave, who are, looking back across the last 10 games, I think they're the informed team for the last 10 games. I think they're 9-1 or something like that for the last 10 games. One player, though, before I let you go, I wanted to highlight, and I'm not sure if you see this from the commentary position, but I feel like Rob Vatanov has been a really good addition to the team this season. And I feel like when I watch Rob play, especially on the forecheck, it's something that stands out to me every single game. Have you seen similar from Rob Vatanov since coming over to the Mustangs this season?
Rod John's new favourite Mustang. No, I love him. He's a sandpaper player, right? So he's like that energy player they have on the third and fourth line. I've loved the way he's played. Like he's always, he's up in the face of the other opposing player, knows his role. I think when was it the North Stars when he tried to start with Funsey, and Funsey's just going like, "What are you doing?" So, but I mean, they were losing the game. We got to try something, right? But no, I've loved watching him play. He's been a great addition. Obviously, part of the Kiwis contingent with Mr. Lane and co. So I think he's got 2 goals and 5 assists. Great chat too. Like I mean, he's a great bloke to talk to. I would think he's been a great. Hopefully he'll come back next year for the Stangs, but they sort of lack that sort of sandpaper guy. I think that I can't really recall a player at the Mustangs for quite some time that's had that sort of role. Mike George is probably the most physical of the guys on the ice. He's been renowned for throwing his weight around, delivering some pretty big hits, but they don't have that sort of like Sean Avery type who'll just try and get inside under your skin that some of the other teams have. Like Darcy Flanagan plays that role really well for the Adrenaline. But yeah, I've really enjoyed watching Mr. Vatanov play, and Rod's really enjoyed trying to make out what he's saying to some of the other players, which we can. It's funny. Some people ask sometimes, well, what are you guys laughing at on the screen? Or what do you do? We can hear the refs, Mike, and we can hear some of the banter on the ice. 99% of it we can't repeat, but he's been one of the most entertaining chirpers, I would say.
Yeah, it's great to hear, because I did hear from people, from Mustangs fans, that he was that sort of fella as well, Rob, a real character. Got a comment here from George Blake. You're just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. You only communicate the news and decisions. Steve Moller as well. Great honesty and transparency, Mr. White. And Sky Eastham. It's not an AIHL season without some sort of drama.
That's why we do this, right? Other than hating ourselves, but no, it's part of the theatre of sport, right? You got to have some kind of twist and tail, and I'm sure there'll be more between now and August 31st. I mean, I remember last season, obviously we had the Canada Day Classic Canada Day classic thing, like where the teddy bear and the ice and bears. And that was like, it is controversial at time, but it's fun. Like, it's fun to go to war with that side of stuff. And the banter's fine, as long as it's, within certain reason. When it starts getting overly personal, you stepped over the line. But that part of stuff is fun, right? So I've enjoyed it, and I'm really going to look forward to. There's some great storylines, particularly that Perth Adelaide series. I think this weekend is going to be the pick for me. I know you can do your pick later, but that for me, that's definitely the pick. And then you can't set it up any better with the Perth and Thunder and the Stangs next week over in Perth. Pro tip: Perth Ice Arena is about 25 minutes north of the. I don't know where you're staying, mate. Like, it's my hometown, but many memories of playing on that ice. But that's a great end to the season. So. I'm looking forward to it. And look, we've got two weeks left now, which is, I'm sort of also looking forward to September 1st, mate, because as much as looking forward to the finals, it's been a grind. It is such a grind, the season, particularly, as you would know, and you do the A-dub as well, right? So it starts in October and you're still going all the way through because you've got all your off-season stuff. So people don't see the work you don't do. So not putting myself on the cross here, but if you're in the ops part of the league, it's a real grind. So enjoy the finals, but I'll enjoy Monday, September the 1st, just as much.
Yeah, I agree. I mentioned to a friend of mine the other day that I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break once the season starts, and they said to me, you deserve it, because it is a bit of a grind doing this every single week and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely. Sean O'Connor as well has got a comment. I honestly don't know the situation just about Thomas Flack. We really miss watching Thomas Flack this season for the Stangs. I think a big loss as well, 100%, Sean. So I'm not sure what will be happening with Thomas Flack next season. But if he does return for the Mustangs next season, be a massive, massive inclusion. Final home game of the season for the Mustangs today, and I believe it's sold out as well. A friend of mine tried to grab a ticket yesterday and said it was sold out. You got anything special with you and Rod Johns in the commentary box for the final game of the season?
Well, unfortunately, I won't be there tonight. Our last game, I'm commentating a fight night tonight at the Melbourne Pavilion. So plenty of action there. But now Rod and I had our official last game against the Lightning, so we cried some tears and then bid our fans farewell. Rod will be there kissing babies, and as he usually does, he's the star of the show. I'm just along for the ride. But we'll have some stuff planned for the finals, so we're working that out now. So the Stephen Rod show will continue. Look, we were talking the other day, it's been, 2013 we started doing it, and we're somehow still together in the comm box. I still think the Rod's one-handed catch is going to be blooper of the year, but that's just my bias. That was my life flashing before my eyes. That's my favourite non-off-ice moment, I think, for this year. Because Rod just took it one-handed, and I just saw it coming out of the side of my face. I'm like, oh, this is going to be bad. And he's just taking it. Like, where'd you learn that?
No, it's great listening to you in the commentary box every weekend or every home game for the Mustangs. Anyway, I know you get a lot of love across the socials as well. Even when I posted this, I had a comment about someone that really loves what you do with Rod Johns every single home game for the Mustangs. Thanks for jumping on this morning, mate, and giving up. I've gone a little bit longer than I thought, just giving up 20-odd minutes of your time just to have a chat about the AI and what's going on with the Mustangs as well. Enjoy your call tonight at Melbourne Pavilion as well with the fight night. And I'll catch up with you at finals. But thanks for jumping on the Morning Hockey Shop.
No, pleasure, mate. Thanks for everything you do for the league. And thanks to all the fans as well for this season, Mustangs and otherwise. And keep your eyes out. There's some big announcements coming. And thanks for your support of the AIHL. And 3 weeks to go. We'll see who takes the good all on 31st of August.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys.
There he goes. Stephen White, the play-by-play commentator for the Melbourne Mustangs, a part of ATC Productions. Also is the media marketing and communications manager for the Australian Ice Hockey League, and does a mountain of work. Stephen White as well. Terrific fella. Got plenty of comments in the chat as well. Just lighting up the chat as well, trying to get through them all. Obviously, I am a one-man show as well. Got a comment here from George Blake as well. Funsey, another guy like Lindor, best guy with the fans. Love the guy. Brian Funes is an absolute ripping person. I will say that. Dealing with Brian over the journey. A terrific fella on and off the ice. Also, George Blake, the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League will be a great season, I think. I totally agree, and I will be talking about the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League a little bit later on in the show. Corey Katina from Minnesota. Nice thing about being in the States, Australian Ice Hockey League ends, takes about a month, then all the leagues here get started. Absolutely. Sean O'Connor as well. Rod Johns, Stephen Rod needs show needs to become a thing on YouTube. It would be absolutely hilarious, Sean. A Stephen and Rod show on YouTube. I would be tuning into that every single weekend. Moving on now to my next point on the menu, AIS Arena. So we did see last weekend that the Canberra Brave played their final home game of the regular season at AIS Arena. And I feel like when I look back on it, and I was listening to the Gooch and Rosie show yesterday, as well as Kerry Goulet and Paul Rosen on their show, were talking about AIS Arena. And obviously Kerry's had a massive involvement in getting that rink set up at AIS Arena. I did release an article as well during my In the Blue Paint this week, a section of the article, Braves send AIS off in style. Obviously they did, they got the wins. I think it's been an absolute major success for the Canberra Brave in the Australian Ice Hockey League, the AIS Arena this season. And we can only, you can see that when you look at other places throughout the country now. There was an article about the Newcastle North Stars. I think it might have been the Newcastle Herald had dropped an article about, can the Newcastle North Stars do a similar thing at the entertainment centre there? So it's getting traction now when we see other news outlets and media people across the country, not just us independents, places, people like myself, Oz Hockey Media, Network Hockey, who we do this for the love of the sport, and we've done it for a long time out of our own pocket as volunteers, not directly linked to clubs or leagues, but we do this as volunteers directly out of our pocket. But when you see other big major organisations with like the Canberra Times or Newcastle Herald or places like that getting involved and writing articles about potential sites for drop-in rinks like we've seen at AIS Arena, to me that means AIS Arena has done a massive job for the Australian Ice Hockey League, bringing exposure, getting more people through the gates, and really creating a buzz around the league in terms of attendance and a full bowl rink and all those sorts of things. So I think AIS Arena has been a massive success, not just for the Canberra Brave, but I think for the entire league, because it's getting more eyeballs on it now, and it's becoming a big ticket item, not only in Canberra, but with the talk about the entertainment centre in Newcastle and finding out a way to get that and make that happen. So I wanted to put that on my menu today. AIS Arena, just a big tick of approval. If you've got a comment about AIS Arena and how you feel like that could translate into the rest of the teams in the competition moving forward, drop a comment in the chat. But I think it was a major success this season for both the Canberra Brave and also the Australian Ice Hockey League. And we'll see what happens next season when the Canberra Brave return to AIS. They no doubt will go away, I think, and they'll probably make some adjustments to the rink and maybe around the rink and other things like that, making it, I suppose, a bit more hockey specific in terms of maybe benches and things like that. Now that they've had this one season under the belt, they would have learnt a lot, I'm guessing. So I'll look forward to 2026 and what the Canberra Brave can produce in terms of the AIS Arena. Commenting here from Sean O'Connor, AIHL has been loving the images out of AIS Arena and using it for promotion and sponsors. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sean, I think the images coming out of AIS Arena have been fantastic, and it's obviously going to play a big role in promotion and potentially gaining sponsors for the league as well. Sky Eastham as well in the chat. AIS food terrible. Very thankful for Caribou for the bus. Maybe there's something they can improve on the food at AIS Arena for 2026. We will see. Caribou as well. I did touch on them a few times over this podcast, and I hopefully will have my video. I've been working away with my video that I did, my vlog and sort of behind the scenes, and I interviewed a couple of people for my video as well. Hopefully that will be released in the not too distant future. I'm working away on that with any spare time that I have to get that going. So that's AIS Arena. I think it's been a major success for the Australian Ice Hockey League this season in terms of getting exposure, getting people obviously through the gates and having that full bowl experience, but getting exposure across to different media, different media outlets outside of us sort of independent volunteers that do our work. The Thunder 3 points, obviously we touched on that a little bit earlier, so I won't go into that too much. We did speak about that with Stephen White. the Thunder 3 points. I did put that in my weekly article as well about the Thunder dropping their 3 points and the ramifications of it, because it's absolutely massive in terms of the season for the Thunder, who were obviously eyeing that second spot, and they were really in a strong position for their run home with 4 games to go, 2 against Adelaide this weekend and then 2 home games against the Mustangs. They were in a prime position to wrap up that second spot this season and going to the AIHL finals weekend, having a Friday off and just stepping straight into Saturday, looking fresh and all those sorts of things. So that 3 points, the deduction of the 3 points, which as we mentioned with Stephen White, I didn't agree with the process and the what we were given as fans, I suppose, from the league. I think there can be improvements in that whole area, absolutely. But we won't see now until the end of the season, I suppose, the ramifications and where the Thunder sit. So after this weekend and next weekend, how big that 3 points is going to cost the Thunder this season. They're now 6 points back of the Canberra Brave, who are in second position. But they do have 4 games to play, and the Brave only have 3. And the Brave obviously travelled down to Melbourne this weekend to face the Melbourne Mustangs in the Melbourne Ice, which won't be easy games at all, even though the Brave are the informed team of the competition. But that 3 points for the Thunder has been absolutely massive in terms of the season, and really come at the wrong time for the Perth Thunder. And as Lisa put in the comments before, Thunder doing it the hard way. And if there is a team that's going to do it the hard way, it will be the Thunder. And who knows what that will do to the locker room. It might galvanise them and really sort of us against them sort of mentality, which could be a good thing, I suppose, heading into finals. But we will see. The Perth Thunder dock 3 points this weekend. George Blake in the comments as well. Hope everyone enjoys their games this weekend. I'll be at both Adelaide games. Enjoy those games, George. Hope it's 2 absolutely ripping games while you're there. Moving on to the next point number 5, Australian Women's Ice Hockey League coaches. So we've had some big announcements recently with the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League, and things are starting to inch closer and closer, and people will know that I play a big part in the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League. I'm a play-by-play commentator for Sportscast Australia, and I run Dub Zone Australia on the Instagram, a lot of graphics and video footage and things like that. So, and obviously write articles, and I did drop an article during the week as Jeremy Friedrich named new Adelaide Rush head coach. And I think it's a terrific achievement from Jeremy to be named the head coach of the elite women's competition here in Australia, working his way through the coaching system in South Australia, and a terrific person from all accounts, Jeremy Friedrich, and obviously played for the Adelaide Adrenaline and the former Pacific Hockey League, now defunct PHL, for the Adelaide Avalanche as well. So that was big news out of the Adelaide Rush, who have coming off the last 2 seasons, finishing with the bronze medal in 23-24 and then 24-25 season. They were minor premiers, but couldn't pick up a medal in the finals. So they had been building through Joey McDougall and Jeff Fody as well in previous campaigns, and now Jeremy Friedrich will take the role at the Adelaide Rush this season. And also the Sydney Sirens, they made a big announcement as well during the week as well, with they're obviously looking for a new coach this season as well to take the reins and I suppose try and bring the Sydney Sirens back up into finals contention. The Sydney Sirens have slowly been starting to build their team and their roster again over the last few seasons. And they made an announcement during the week of replacing or announced their new coach. I don't know what's happening with my computer right now. Hopefully you can still hear me, but my computer is doing all sorts of things. I don't know what is going on here. The joys of live streaming. My computer is absolutely frozen. If you can still hear me, drop a comment in the chat. I don't know what's happening with my computer, but it's gone absolutely blank and I cannot see my screen right now. I'm not even sure if I can see comments popping up on the screen. Can still hear you fine. I don't know if you can see me, but hopefully you can still see me on the screen. I'm not sure what is happening, but they did make an announcement that Anneli Kuzla is going to take over the role of head coach for the Sydney Sirens this season, which I think is a big announcement. I believe it's the first time that they've had a female head coach for the Sydney Sirens, which is absolutely massive as well. And the Sydney Sirens have been building over the last couple of seasons, and they'll be looking for a big Australian Women's Ice Hockey League campaign this season as well. The Sydney Sirens. So that was another big announcement of the head coaching. So things are starting to sort of ramp up a little bit this season in terms of coaching and announcements for tryouts and things like that. The clubs are starting to get going, where we'll start to see sort of teams in the next, I suppose, month or so start to make announcements of different players and potentially imports, all that sort of stuff coming into the competition. So that was a big announcement for the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League this week. I'm not sure if you can still see me. Hopefully you can see me on the screen. I know that you can hear me, but I'm not sure if you can actually see me on the screen. So that was a big announcement for the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League. As I said, my computer is doing all sorts of things right now, and I cannot see anything on my screen, or bits and pieces on my screen anyway. So that's the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League that I just wanted to touch on, and I'm looking forward to the season kicking off once we finish the AI season and get that going. So the standings, hopefully I can get this up on the screen here, the standings. Let me know if you can see the standings on the screen here. So things are still really starting to shake up here in terms of the standings. As I said at the start, the Adelaide Adrenaline hanging around. Let me know what you think of these standings heading into the second last weekend of the season. There's so much to play for still, and I think it's really cool that we have this competitiveness for this late in the season. Nothing's settled. There's still positions to be taken. There's still teams outside the top six that can still jump in there in terms of the Adelaide Adrenaline. As Stephen White mentioned, it's a top five really, because obviously the Melbourne Ice are sitting on top and they won't be moved, but there's so much still happening in the standings. And I think it's great for the competition to see that we don't have dead rubbers and we have competitive games this late in the season. I think it's fantastic. So that is the standings. Obviously the Melbourne Ice are sitting on top, and then you got the Brave, the North Stars and the Thunder that round out that top four, and the Mustangs and the Lightning, who both of those teams potentially or could still drop out of that top six position. If everything goes right for Adelaide, and that is like if Adelaide just win out and everything goes wrong for the Mustangs and the Lightning, things could really, really change. It's probably not going to happen, but there is that potential there that the Adelaide could jump in if we had one of those Disney stories as we've had in the comments previous weeks, one of those Disney stories about the Adelaide Adrenaline. So that is the standings this weekend for the Australian Ice Hockey League. Let me know what you think of the standings, and if you have any thoughts about where you think teams might finish, drop them into the chat, and I'll see if I can get the chat up on the screen, because my computer is doing all sorts of things this morning. I don't know what is happening, but the joys of live streaming. The schedule for this weekend, I'll get it up on the screen. Some big games this weekend in the Australian Ice Hockey League with the schedule. Hopefully you can see that up on the screen. A lot of ramifications, obviously, for the top six and where teams are going to finish. We have the Canberra Brave, the Brisbane Lightning. They'll travel down to Central Coast Rhinos, and they'll face the Rhinos in a back-to-back weekend at Erina Ice Arena, which is not going to be easy. And we spoke about this last weekend with Sean O'Connor in terms of the Central Coast Rhinos and how they're just not an easy out. These Central Coast Rhinos, they'll push you. They will not let you come into their rink, especially, and they'll want to finish the season strong. The Central Coast Rhinos on home ice, they don't leave Erina Ice Arena for the rest of the season, and they'll want to try and finish the season strong, especially for their loyal fan base, which they have there at the Central Coast. So that's not going to be an easy couple of games for the Brisbane Lightning, who are still battling to stay in that sixth position. And the Lightning have struggled. They've lost 6 in a row and they've had a week off. So we'll see how the Lightning play when they come out this weekend. The Canberra Brave obviously will travel down to Melbourne and they'll play the Melbourne Mustangs today, and then they'll play the Melbourne Ice tomorrow. And the big game, the Perth Thunder and Adelaide Adrenaline this weekend, as Stephen White mentioned, was his pick of the week. And when I look at the schedule and I give my pick of the week, I think I agree with Stephen White. I think that Adelaide Perth Thunder game is probably my pick of the week as well this week. And just in terms of the Thunder, obviously losing the 3 points and trying to get back up into that second spot, and Adelaide, who are trying to squeeze into that sixth position for the finals. So there's a lot of different ramifications for the result going either way for either the Thunder or the Adelaide Adrenaline. So that's probably my pick of the week as well, the Perth Thunder and the Adelaide Adrenaline game. So the Brisbane Lightning and the Central Coast Rhinos today at 3:30. These are all local times at 3:30. The Melbourne Mustangs and the Brave at 5 p.m. Perth and Adelaide at 4:15. And then tomorrow on the Sunday, local times, Canberra Brave and Melbourne Ice at 2 p.m. Brisbane Lightning and the Central Coast Rhinos at 3:30. And Perth and Adelaide at 4:15 again. That is the schedule for this weekend, week 18 of the competition. There are a lot of comments in the chat. Just before I wrap up the show, I'll see if I can. I don't think I'll see them on my screen because my computer is going all over the place right now, and I'm sort of trying to push through the show. Arne Anderson, Rod Johns, and Stephen White. AIHL Presidential Run 2026. There's a lot of love for Stephen White and Rod Johns in the chat. Steve Moller, I'll be heading, trying to see that Adelaide-Perth game today. I'll be all in on Adelaide. Sky Eastham, come on, Adelaide. Was nice to see Stephen White from New Zealand. And George Blake, if I can move this screen down. Free stream Adelaide game on AIHL.tv. So that is this weekend in the Australian Ice Hockey League. I'm trying to get my computer to work for me. I'm not sure what is going on here. I don't even know if the outro is going to work. But this is a great way to finish the morning hockey shot every Saturday live. The computer crashing and not doing what I wanted to do, but I'm glad you can still hear me and see me, I believe, on the stream. But I think that'll do it for the morning hockey shot, as I'm struggling to get my computer to do what it wants to do, and hopefully I can end the stream and make everything work as it usually does. But this is the morning hockey shot. I am Andrew McDougall. You can find me across the socials on Andrew K. McDougall on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Andrew K. McDougall at .com.au for all my work, my articles, and all that sort of stuff. Give it a like and a subscribe. Let people know where they can find it, and to help the algorithm, to help my platform grow, obviously, but to help hockey grow as well. I'm not sure if I can get any more comments up on the screen. But thanks for tuning in this season. I'm not sure what I'm doing for the finals and whether or not I will have a show for the finals, but this is the final show for the regular season. And I'll be traveling to Perth next weekend, which is why I won't have a morning hockey shot next Saturday. So I'll let you know what's happening with finals and whether or not I'll have a show post-finals. I don't think I'll have one on the Saturday morning of the finals. I'll wait and see what pops up and what I can get working. If you're going out to hockey today, enjoy your hockey, enjoy your the games you're going to watch. If you're going to play, I hope you get a win, hope you make a save, all that sort of stuff, and I hope you score a goal. But that'll do it for me this weekend and for this regular season of the Morning Hockey Shot. Thanks for tuning in. I am Andrew McDougall. This is Hockey Shot, and I might see you back come finals time in a couple of weeks for the last Morning Hockey Shot. Bye.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.